Welcome, 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 everybody, to the Closer to the Edge podcast, the anti-sleep aid for anyone sick of political self-censoring and hushed tones on the left-wing podcast at a time when we need to be loud. We're here to kick down the goddamn door with a bullhorn duct taped to a chainsaw, giving a megaphone to fighters and dissenters, as well as platform those who they want to silence.
Hell yeah, that's the host of Political Drain. He's got the bark of a sergeant, the bite of a watchdog, and zero patience for bullshit. Drill Sarge Doug. Thanks, Doug.
And from the front lines of truth with ink-stained hands and zero fucks to give, people, my co-host is Rook T. Winchester.
So buckle the fuck up.
Only thing people want to talk about is how we were destroyed by 8 of our own Democratic people.
Right.
I literally went in. Once again, I was supposed to be having a time where, I could go to bed early. It was a good little Sunday. Oh, everything is good. And next thing you know, we're fucked. Next thing you know, the Democrats are giving up after winning.
Why do you think they gave up so fast? Or why do you think those 8 senators did that?
Listen, man, I'm going to be honest with you.
Always.
Thinking about it some more and some more and some more. This is what I think the course of events was. Somebody was in Chuck Schumer's ear, people with money who are losing money because of travel, because the Christmas season is coming, airports are closing down. People who own these ports, these planes, let's look at the senators, people from Nevada, Las Vegas is losing money.
Yeah.
These people said, we have got to shut this shit, get this thing back up. We got to shut down the shutdown, right?
Yeah.
If you want our money, and AIPAC, all of them have business here and losing money over this shutdown.
Yeah.
Before I go any further, I want to let everybody know, in case we keep this part, that's the point of a shutdown.
Right.
Is to make people hurt and lose. To make it so that you the only lever you have left to keep health care for Americans who can't afford it is ensuring that the people who can afford it have to hurt so that they can no longer give money to our senators. Anyway, I think they came to him. He came up with this bull crap, Schumer, and said, you know what? Well, we'll just give away everything, but just let us keep the things we need for 1 year from the from the ACA.
Yeah. And of course Schumer votes against it, right? So he's got covers because he's got 8 other people to come in and Tim.
It's even worse than that because he came out with that. I said, okay, here comes the capitulation. After we already won. We just won. Mondami won. We got blue people flipping red seats in deep Mississippi and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious that the voters are saying, we want you what you're doing now. So, of course, the Democrats are saying, wait, we're winning. What the fuck does that mean? I've never done that before. We can't just be winning, can we? We've got to give this up. Anyway, yeah, so the people who gave them money put them in a room, and it's not even just as bad as, 1 year. You give us 1 year of an extension of the ACA credits, and we'll open up the government. That means that they're getting rid of all of the other things they asked for. There was a bunch of other stuff that was supposed to be a bare minimum.
Right.
And they go in a room and they say, no. You know what? Even that's too much. Because the people that are paying us are calling us every day saying they're not going to pay us. We just need some people who can fall on the sword and just open the shit up.
What was the promise?
The promise was, if you'll promise us that you can put the bill up for a vote in the Senate and give the choice to even put it up in the House to the House leader. That means the House leader didn't make any promises. He just said today, I didn't promise anything to anybody. He's not even going to bring it up in the House.
Well, then there is no silver lining, because I don't know when Congress is going to be back in session. The only silver lining, I guess, is that, well, it's even the whole SNAP thing is incredible. That the president of the United States is like appealing a lower court decision to fund SNAP with an emergency funding mechanism, and then he appeals that to the appeals court, and Ketanji Brown Jackson's like, all right, well, we'll put in a quick stay, but it's got to be quick. And as soon as he lost that, then today he appealed to the Supreme Court so he can starve kids, I guess. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I don't know. Was that part? Was there? You explain to me, Doug, because I think you've read it more than I have. But is SNAP funding, if they shut the government down again in January and they say, no, we're not going to fund this anymore, is SNAP good for the remainder of 2026?
No.
Are we going to have to deal with the SNAP?
No, nothing is good. Nothing is good, because the whole reason why SNAP was just one of the things being gone because you can't fund the Department of Agriculture.
Yeah.
So there's not like the funding is there now when you reopen the government. But if you close it again, SNAP will be another problem again.
Yeah.
SNAP will be another problem, and then they're going to say, well, nobody believes you anymore. You can't just shut it down anymore. Because then everybody's going to say, well, all we have to do is wait 31 days, and you'll fucking get on your knees and suck the dick of every single person who gives you money and love it. That's what you'll do. It just takes me 31 days to pull my zipper down. That's all.
Yeah, metaphorical penis sucking. That's what it is.
Gotta love it, guys. Gotta love it, man. You're not here for the bullshit, are you? Listen, we weren't even supposed to start this thing. Let me say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 so I can sync up my shit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. People, the conversation for today is you have to find someone else to vote for. Now, you cannot vote for, obviously, people doing Nazi signs in the ballroom. You cannot vote for them. You cannot vote for the people who put in place ICE and what they're doing now. Of course not. And you can't vote for the people who said, you know what, I'm going to write new laws in place so that the president has no more checks. Because that's what the Republican Party did at least 3 or 4 times. One example I can give is when they said, well, we're no longer going to have the right to oversee his appointments. They just said we can't deal with the bad face that we're getting from approving these people. So from now on, for everyone else for the rest of the year, we just say that he has blanket approval. We're not going to have to sit and approve each one.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's exactly right.
So they've given up on that. I can tell you that if you think that, voting for them is the right way to go, and you're just as stupid as the guys who voted to open back up the government. What you can do, on the other hand, is run yourself or find people who are running who are against this. We have to change this party. And people say, well, we need a third party. No, don't be an idiot. The last time we tried that, we got Trump.
Mm-hmm. I think we should think about taking over the Republican Party. I think there's enough people in some different seats, because some of these areas they're gonna put another Republican again, but to infiltrate the Republican Party,
yeah, for sure,
and it's not for everyone. Believe me, it's no fun. I did it once, and tried to steer the other side, I think, in 2012.
How'd you do that?
What's
Did
that?
you tell me? Can you tell me? Is that top secret? Should we be talking about this?
I mean, it's in 2012, Obama was running and he was, he was going to be the candidate, right? So there was no primary to get involved in, really. So I figured, well, let's go muck around in Republican politics. So where I was at, we had a caucus, so you could go and you could talk and you could argue, and it was more than just going and, doing a ballot. So, but even if it's just in a primary, if you live in Oklahoma, there's no reason you can't take on this fascist Republican that's seated right there. Because as far as I'm concerned, every Republican in Congress supports fascism. And these 8 Democrat senators that just voted for this, well, they support fascism, or at least they're willing to for the next 2.5 months.
Well, what they are is they are accomplices to fascism, even if they're not supporting it. In order to save their own money in pocketbooks, they've become accomplices to fascism. So
they're enabling it. They're enabling
enablers.
Concentration camps, loss of habeas corpus, all this stuff. They're enabling it. It's like handing someone whiskey and tell them to get in the car and give them the car keys. And this carnage, we had a chance to stop it. Granted, a lot of people hurting, and it sucks.
So wait a minute. I want to, listen, you know what? These people, you guys, if you're watching this, are going to see the names. I'm making sure I'm putting these names up here. We got a little time before our guests come. We can talk about each one if you want. But I'd also, number one, we've got to get rid of them, and they need to never sleep happily again. If they're from your state, if you see a name down here, and there's like one who's independent but caucuses with the Democrats, and the rest of these, especially Fetterman, you guys have to know that like their fax machines should be running out of ink, because they still use fax machines. Their phones should never, ever, 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 ever be able to call out again. Like, their streets should be filled. If you can find one other person and be there 2 days a week, and then find 2 other people, have those people find one, and get to 4. If you can find 8 people, there should be somebody at their door every day, all week, and one person to tap out if somebody gets sick.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to make ourselves heard, and like you said, these people, they ain't running for 2026, or they're retiring. So, but these 8 Democrats need to hear us, and these 52 Republicans also need to hear us.
I'm done with the Republicans. You guys can do that. The Republicans are going to hear me on November 20th when I run through their doors and say, and let's be honest, man. Let's be honest. What is it that you're going to do? The chance that we had was to say, you realize we won. You realize last Tuesday we won. We went so far as to put a Democratic socialist who's very, 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 very socialist in office in one of the most important, let's call it a city-state in the nation, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Now, number one, when I say that, those of you who recoil, it's because you've been indoctrinated by this capitalist country for so long that you think socialist is a bad word. I love that. But fine, the boogeyman is in. Do you realize what that means? Like, you don't think that these people were shitting themselves knowing that the people who they made their bed with, people were leaving the Republican Party. The people were right now in Texas, where they gerrymandered everything, they forgot one part of that is all of the Latinos that voted for them no longer will. So the gerrymander that they made was based on a belief that those places still had Latinos that would vote for them. They saw the writing on the wall,
And instead of pushing our advantage, we said, no, we're going to give up. Now we have nothing. I'm not talking to Republicans anymore. What they're going to say is, the only thing you had was my fear of being lost, my fear of not making it through the next election. And now I realize I don't need you for that. There's enough Democrats that'll do it for me. I don't need you for that anymore. Don't call my office.
And I feel like those Democrats are just as receptive as those Republicans. I don't think you could yell at Durbin enough or yell at Fetterman enough. I don't think you could, No. I think some of these people, they're just as good as a Republican. But either way, we're going in on November 20th, and we're gonna, usually end up. You talk to their staff anyway because they're too scared to be there in the first place. But we'll hang around the lunch counter and maybe we'll talk to some of these people. But in the end, I'm really hoping that sometime in the next 3 years, we can get 66 votes in the Senate to convict after he's impeached again. And we're talking a ways out again because it's probably, unless the House flips. Or, but just because we've impeached him twice and it hasn't worked doesn't mean we shouldn't try again. We're going to have to try again. And the next time we're going to have to remove him.
I agree with you, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. That is a must and a baseline. That's the least. That's the first. And it's going to take a long time. There's things that we need to do. We kind of got off because, damn it, we're upset, guys. We kind of got off track. But here's the other part of this, what I was trying to say at first. Number one, you don't need violence to threaten. Let me tell you what I mean by that. If you're alone and I have 25 guys that surround you, I don't ever have to touch you, do I? For you to feel threatened. I never do. The same thing happens in every place a human exists, including the offices of the Capitol. If you fill the halls without throwing shit on it, like the fucking idiots did, and wearing gas masks and flagpoles and hitting people with it, you can just go there. If there's enough people there to fill an office, to fill an office room, and to fill a secretary's office, and to fill the corridors, and all in one chant showing pictures of Epstein and the boats that are being bombed and saying we need to remove this regime. You never have to be violent to show your power, to make them feel a way, i.e. those 8 people, those 8 Democrats, they can also feel that way. They can feel that way when they leave work. They can feel that way when they go to work. They can feel that way at the airport when they're going on vacation because they're too tired of seeing you when they go to work, when they go to their car.
Yeah.
You can do that.
And it's completely different than January 6th. January 6th, they were certifying a vote. They were holding votes on the floor in the chambers, certifying the election. So November 20th, they're open for business. And if my numbers are correct, this is going to be the single biggest day of citizen lobbying in the United States history.
Period.
Because I think that bar is set, sadly, very low. I think the record number of people, citizens, to go lobby Congress in a single day is like 1,500 people. And that's sad. So we're gonna send a lot of people into Congress on the 20th.
I would stand for 10,000. Yeah, I agree with you. Here's part 2, strategy. What you talked about, how to infiltrate this Republican Party. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this has happened so many times to Democrats. It's embarrassing. Yeah, mm-hmm. Because when in North Carolina, one of the reasons why they're such a goddamn suck-ass state right now is not because they didn't vote correctly. It's because they voted correctly, and one of the people there, as minute that they got into the office, turned around and voted for everything Republicans wanted and became a straight up Republican. Switched. Mm-hmm. They switched parties after being voted on.
Yeah.
Hello? Why haven't we done that yet? Hey, you know what? I fucking hate N-words. How about that? I can say that. I can do... Let's be strategic. I fucking hate all of you. As a matter of fact, white people are the most oppressed people in America. Fuck DEI. You don't know how easy that is to say?
Well, you could do it that way.
Be smart. Be smart. Let them vote for you and then switch parties. What I'm saying is, if you don't like that type of shit, I'm sorry to tell you, you'll lose again. Should we
try to out Trump them?
No, what you do is you run as a Republican and then switch parties. You run as a Republican. When you get in, you switch parties. If that's what they're doing, then you can do it. That's the strategy.
Yeah. If George Santos can get elected by telling a bunch of lies, I mean, whatever, everything's open. It's all good. Just don't steal anyone's identity. But
yeah, Lord have mercy, don't do that. Here's what I'm saying is, while they're running people in Democrat with D by their name that switch parties when they get there to hurt people, I wonder if there's somebody far thinking enough and willing to do the dirty work to run as a Republican, say the dumb shit, and then switch parties when they get there and say, oh, by the way, we need this DEI program. Oh, by the way, we love the SNAP. Oh, by the way, I reconsidered my opinion on your all-white county in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could do that for the right things, maybe once.
And another approach might be to just go in and splinter their party by being the anti-Trump Republican candidate. Because a lot of these Republicans are now fucking around and finding out, like the farmers and just different groups of people, that Trump fucked them over. And, you know, I think sending some people into some of these 80% districts that are probably going to vote Republican, you know, send in someone to be that anti-Trump candidate. Because in the general election, hopefully you can get a bunch of those people, you know, vote Democrat, or, I don't know, maybe by the grace of God, to, you know, buck the odds and win some of these primaries. So Trump's a lame duck. And yeah, he's going to come out and he's going to approve certain candidates, and he's going to, you know, try to make his picks, and everyone's going to try to kiss his ass to try to become the candidates in these districts. But even the Republicans, a lot of these MAGA voters, they're pissed off now. And they ain't going to be going back to Trump. The numbers are getting smaller. You know, 40 million has become 30 million. Let's make it 20 million, then 10 million, then, you know.
Okay, right? So there is a floor there. There's a floor there.
Somewhere.
I'm going to tell you how I know. Because the same Nazi party that was doing the Bund, is the American Bund Party in 1940-something, that only ended because Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and they could no longer get away with it. They had stadiums filled as well in New York. So there is a floor. There's a floor. And it might just be 30 million. It might just be 20 million. But what happens is, the biggest thing we had on our side was, at least for a while now, that hasn't been the majority. And it's very hard to make that the majority if you have someone else worth voting for. They didn't win because they had more people who thought like they were the American Bund Party. They won because so many Democrats were disaffected, were looking at the same shit they saw last night and said, what is the point? Fuck this. And we had them. We had those people saying, I'm going to come out and vote. And you lost it again. So what we need to do is here's the third thing. The first thing was we have to be there to make everything uncomfortable all the time, and especially on the 20th to the 22nd. You guys meet us there. The second thing was, let's start thinking strategically and stop playing circle jerk with ourselves and stop patting ourselves on the back for being decent while people are starving and losing. Maybe try to infiltrate yourself. Maybe do something. Third thing is who we vote for. We have people like Lieutenant Colonel retired Malcolm S. Ritchie, who's talking about programs and socialist ideas. He hasn't called himself a democratic socialist, not yet at least, but he's looking to run. And if the only way you get those people affected or who were disaffected to become rejoined in the party, you can no longer say, well, look at what the Democrats did on Tuesday, because 5 days later they fucked it up. Now you can say, you want to know something? I agree with you. Let's get all of them the fuck out of here. There's people running in Missouri who had just gerrymandered his district out. His name is Jordan Herrera. There's people running for your state legislature. Her name is Aiden Swallow in Arizona. There's people running in Florida to oust Republican dumbasses. And I don't have their name with me, but we have put them out on Sons of Liberty live channel all the time, on live chat all the time, every Tuesday. And I have put them out on Political Drain. And I'm sure that there have been exposés in Closer to the Edge publication on these people. Let's get them excited to come out to fuck over the Democrats. How about that? Since we can't get you excited to vote for Democrats, I got a new generation of Democrats running to get you excited to fuck over the rest of them. If that's the way we has to be, then I will run on that.
Yeah, well, let's get you to run. I think you got to run. The important part is every seat is up in the House is up for grabs in 2026. Every seat, and that means people need to jump into these primaries. Jump in, and right now is the time. Don't wait till January to get started. Start now. It can be intimidating.
Right now.
It can be intimidating, but do it. Look to these people that Doug just mentioned. Look to the people that we're writing about, because we're going to get a slate of candidates going for 2026, and we're going to let you know and work with you out there to learn about who's running in your district that needs support. Now, a Democratic Socialist isn't going to work in every district out there,
right? So
we're not calling for a Democratic Socialist takeover in every district out there. You need to understand your district. Now, in New York, that's great. And as a concept, I think democratic socialism is what this country needs. But there's an opportunity, and it's going to take some courage, and you need to let go of the apathy. You need to get involved. And I don't care if it's on the Republican side or the Democratic side, but we need a complete takeover of the House. We need to flip the numbers in our favor. Then we can file these articles of impeachment and, put pressure on the Senate to just get rid of this illegal president.
Let me make it 100% clear. Democratic Socialist isn't going to activate the base in Kentucky. Sure. You want to know what will? I hate to say this, guys. Fuck you, Democrats. I want all of you gone. I want to send a message that you suck, that you have failed us. The Republicans will continue to be racist asshats, and I can't vote for them. And if there was a way I could vote against them without that going to waste, I want to tell the Democratic Party, you fucking suck. And I'm looking for every person who hates you to run. How about that? How about that? How about the fact that you suck so much that I'm looking for anybody who says that they don't like you to run? because they're willing to fight for something. Anybody who's willing to fight for something and go against you. Now, there may be all I'm doing is restating the obvious. Of course, if you're primarying somebody, that means they don't like you. But instead of trying to kowtow to your feelings, that's no longer the case. Here's my electoral advice for somebody running after what happened yesterday. If you're running on a Democratic ticket, you need to make sure that your pocketbooks are clean from the bullshit, and you need to make a statement today and every day after this about how much you hate them, about how disgusting they are to you, and how what you're planning to do is to get in there and get rid of the octogenarians, to get in there and get rid of the motherfucking money plaque people. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Get them out of here. You're going in there to ensure that your anger towards the Democratic Party is felt, because no one else, they lost the hope they just gained. You could have run on hope. You could have sailed the sails on hope from now until until fucking next November. So fine. Now we're running on anger and hate. It also works. That also works. Ask the Republicans how well that works. I'm running on it. If I were you, I would do the same thing. Anyway, I'm sorry.
It's a good rant. Hate's a powerful thing. Hate's a powerful thing. I'll say that.
Or fear. Fear.
Yeah. I prefer loathing. I loathe these people. I loathe these people. You know. Hatred's a powerful thing, but and there's a hair bit of difference when we're playing a semantics game with it.
Yeah, loathing is even worse than hate. Loathing.
Yeah, I loathe these people.
Hate. I don't know, but I'll leave that to the audience. Loathing or hate, which one is worse and why? I know we got some linguistic majors out there that can give us a nuanced perspective on which word is worse.
We wrote an article about it a while back. I think it was called Loathe, Don't Hate, but we ain't going to tell anyone how to feel. I ain't going to tell anyone how to feel.
Nah. What I'm doing is telling you how to run, and I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but I'm telling you, if you plan on voting, if you don't plan on voting, you plan on giving up. So I'm not with that. When you vote, I'm gonna tell you straight up, when you vote, because I expect everybody to be listening to this to be up on what the stakes are. When you vote, make sure you're voting for someone who hates what just happened yesterday.
Yeah, and get involved in the primaries. Vote
and
in the primaries.
Don't
wait for the general. Go register right now as a Republican or a Democrat in your state and go make your thunder heard. Because if you're just going to sit around and wait for the general and find out what other people picked for you, that's not good enough. You need to go out and you need to. And if you don't like who's running in your district in the primary, then you need to run. And you don't need corporate dollars. You just need to get your name on the ballot and get your name out there. It's possible, and I'm hoping more people are going to do it.
If the fucking purple cankled, orange faced, 2 cans of spray tan Sam, fat, adulterous fuck with bad hair and worse skin can win. Right? If he can win, you can win.
You can win.
You can win.
People want honesty. They want passion. They don't want this lip service nonsense, and they want solutions. And one solution, we're way past time. We need single-payer health care.
Single-payer health care.
This whole private insurance health care game is fucked, and you can see it. And it's a disaster. And it's just, we need to go to a single-payer health care system. I don't care how much money you make, or what your age is, or your pre-existing condition. Everyone has a right to health care, and it would be cheaper than our current system, and it's going to be but it's got to be a position people got to take. It's a position supported by 80% of people in the country. Medicare for all. It's not
Here's the deal. we'll start with the candidates we have. If you want to run, I put this out on Political Drain, and I'll try to do it here. If you want to run, if you need to learn more about it, you think you have a chance, you were a veteran, you've been in a leadership position that's at the school board or something. Maybe you just know that you're intelligent enough to do it. Or maybe you just think that you have an idea no one else has, but you've never tried before. You can email me, politicaldrain@gmail.com. We have signal groups where we try to help people figure this out. Some of them have even started running. Some of those people have started running, and they've been on these live streams with Sons of Liberty. And that brings us to the person who we're interviewing today, who is Big Sarge, the founder of Sons of Liberty. And that name is important because it sounds like Republican. You know why? Because they've stolen our America's symbols, our language, our flags. They've stolen them. Don't tread on me. They've stolen the snake. They've stolen the colors, and think that it's only for them. So Big Sarge, I'm talking to myself. Big Sarge from the Sons of Liberty decided he was going to take all of those back. He's a veteran, combat vet, also just an intelligent, giving guy, and I want to introduce him. Listen to everything we have to say here, but also go to the Sons of Liberty YouTube page. Go to see those lives. They have these candidates up. Listen to them. See who they are. See how they're talking, and see if we can't find someone else to vote for on the Democratic Party to change this Democratic Party to be something that we own, and it's not, they don't own us. But I'd like to introduce Big Sarge from Sons of Liberty, who's doing the work. Music Okay, everybody, you heard the introduction. Big Sarge, you didn't hear the introduction. We introduced you for an hour before you got here.
I don't need that much of an introduction.
Well, listen, guys, what we have is someone who has been in the trenches out here doing this work, the founder of Sons of Liberty, Big Sarge. It's so good to have you here, man. We got a lot to talk about, and I just wanted to say thank you for coming. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so, disclosure, just for everybody to know. I got a pin here. Disclosure for everybody to know that everything that you've seen from Political Drain, or even my existence here with Closer to the Edge podcast, has come as a byproduct of sorts from the guy that we're interviewing. I was a small channel, and I saw this guy in a freaking big beard in a truck or a car somewhere, yelling and giving that knife hand. And I said, I like that guy. And then I decided to invite him on to Political Drain. We had an awesome interview. Then he invited me on to Sons of Liberty. We had an awesome interview and went back and forth. And before you know it, I was in some sort of a chat where I was considered an admin. And I was like, okay, shit. I guess I'm a Sons of Liberty admin now too, and grateful for it. And everything after that, I just wanted to say, not like I haven't told you before, but I wanted to say again, thank you for letting me become a part of the group, for seeing me as someone who could contribute. And I am completely grateful for everything that group has done, and especially you. I'd like to know what got you started with Sons of Liberty? How many years ago that was? What got you started with that? What was the impetus?
So 10 years ago, or actually well before 10 years ago, I guess from between 2008 to 2015, I had a habit of writing these long rants on Facebook, like just, 3, 4 at least paragraphs on whatever hot button issue. And invariably they were socio-political in nature. And then I moved to the Atlanta area and started getting involved in the indie film community. And so I kind of started shying away from posting stuff to my Facebook page, primarily because I was trying to do work in a field where we wanted to kind of avoid politics, unless it was, through the guise of making a film. So I kind of started doing things a little differently. And then probably within days of Donald Trump announcing his candidacy for the 2016 race that he was going to run in the primary, basically, like, as soon as he rode down this little golden escalator, all of a sudden, just tons of people came out of the woodwork and they're like, yeah, we're going to make America great again. I'm a nationalist. And, and a lot of them were people that I had served with in the military, people that I had literally bled alongside. Blood, sweat, tears, crying, laughter, poop jokes, whatever. So,
Right.
and these weren't actual people that I had sat beside in foreign countries or in dirty tents, backs of Humvees, backs of Bradley fighting vehicles, things like that. Yeah, so all these people that I literally had served alongside, that I knew in real life, are like running around saying shit like, yeah, you fucking liberals are gonna pay now. Daddy's in charge. He's gonna make America great, and you can't be a liberal and call yourself a patriot. You can't be a good Christian and be a liberal and shit like that. And I was like, now I really want to write rants. But what I did was I decided I was going to start like a little Facebook page, like a little vanity page. Just be like, this is going to be this is where I'm going to post my rants. I told people what I was going to do. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, no, you're not going to fucking tell me that I can't be a patriot and still be a liberal. That's bullshit. I wouldn't say that to you. Not then, anyway.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna deliberately provoke people, and because this was also the era where people were just starting to do like their little sunglasses and ball cap operator look, ranting in trucks and shit about whatever triggered them. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start this thing and I'm going to call it the Sons of Liberty, and I'm going to make it look like hyper patriotic and whatnot. But it's going to be for me and veterans and, my perspective on political issues and social issues as a veteran. And so I started doing that, and it worked. And then I got all these people who were like, hey, where are you doing your political content now? And I was like, oh, I've moved to this page. And I would send them the link, and they're like,
are you sure?
Giving me the side eye. They're like, what? And I'm like, that's literally like, I literally just wrote that. Go comment on it, and I'll comment and be like, hey, it's me or whatever. So then I picked up probably a couple hundred followers, and it just kind of stayed between there and 1 to 2,000 for a while. And then something went viral at some point a long time ago. And all of a sudden there was just this influx of people, and it stayed on Facebook probably for up until about a year and a half ago. That was our big thing. Like, we had other platforms, like we had Instagram and YouTube and whatnot, and nobody looked at that shit ever. And then last April, I was doing these videos for Confederate Heritage Month, where I would basically dress up as like a Union general, and I would talk about, Southern Unionists who were people from the South but stayed loyal to the United States.
I love those.
Instead of honoring Confederates. And this was a big thing on our Facebook page. Like, we would regularly use hashtags like Sons of Confederate Veterans, and they would end up seeing our content and they would get so mad. I mean, that was like our biggest season was April. Not Black History Month, not Native American Heritage Month, which is November, not Pride Month, Confederate Heritage Month, because so many people saw us mocking these people that worship their dead traitor ancestors.
Traitors.
And we were brutal. I would have like 3 and 4 posts a day, and I would talk about white people, white men, white women, black men, and black women who were from the South. So like Robert Smalls, for example, and people were like, "Oh, he's not a Confederate." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit, dummy."
That's the point.
And these guys would show up and they're like, "I'm from the Sons of Confederate Veterans, post number 87, Camp Ward, Maitland," or some shit like that. And I'm like, "I don't care." And they would get so mad, and our posts, they would go viral. We would get like millions of views just on a post about, George Thomas or something. And it was weird. But I was like, I'm gonna do them as videos. So we put them on YouTube, and nobody watched that shit. Nobody.
Yeah.
I would get like 60 views. And so there were all these videos on there, and I'm like, why are we using YouTube? And then one day I was like, I'm tired of making these videos that nobody watches. What do you guys want to see as video content? And someone was like, "Oh, you should make a truck rant video, like mock those guys that wear their ball cap and aviator shades and sit in their truck and talk about, I'm so angry at the left for this thing or whatever." So I was like, okay, I can do that, and I'm going to write it. And you start watching it and you get suckered in. You're like, who's this MAGA motherfucker? And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, fuck Donald Trump. And you're like, oh. And the first one I got maybe 1,500 views, and then I did another one, and that went viral. And from then on, it was balls to the wall. Like, I was cranking them out, and people were watching them. And invariably, people would get in there and they would mistake me for somebody on the right. And then people on the right would get in there and be like, who's this commie traitor, But ultimately, it was like when Tim Walz was running for with Kamala Harris for vice president, was when it really, really picked up. Like, I did a video on Tim Walz, and I called it like Angry Veteran Rants about Tim Walz stolen valor.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a gotcha thing, and people got in the comments and they're like, "Oh, you don't know what your top never mind." And then other people would see it and they're like, why are you standing up for stolen valor, guy? I'm like, they literally watch the video. The first 3 minutes, it gives you the answer to that. And the rest of it is just me dunking on MAGA for being stupid or whatever. So I was doing those, and those were having the desired effect. But then I transitioned away from that and just like, I don't want to just get dressed up and go sit in my truck while my neighbors are like, what the fuck is going on over there? So I was doing them in the house, and basically just like standing in front of my computer in my pajamas, wearing a DD214 shirt. And that's when we started using YouTube, and that's where most people started following us. And then our Facebook page got shut down for mysterious reasons. So we started a new one, and now it's even bigger than our old one, which has existed for like 10 years. And so in a nutshell, I get too late for that. Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you still make those videos, or are you into you got a lot going on now? Do you still make those videos where you troll MAGA like that?
Definitely not as much as I used to, but yeah, I still make them. But now we do a live stream every Tuesday, and sometimes we even do them on like Mondays and other days in addition to Tuesday. So I did one video per day at a bare minimum. There were a couple of days where I did 2 videos a day, just because there was so much to talk about, and I wanted to have as much information getting out there as possible to people who watched our content and maybe weren't going to watch somebody else's content. So that lasted for over a month. I did about 45 videos in the span of like 30 days. And then I started, backing off to 1 to 2 videos a week. And now there are some weeks where I'm just like, I'm not doing a video this week. Fuck it.
And hopefully
Because
I'll have put something up at that time.
Because our YouTube now, we have content from Doug, we have content from Whiskey Leaks, and there's so much on a day-to-day basis that is rant worthy, and I don't think that I can do it all justice. Like it feels like when it gets to a point where it feels like now I'm just doing it for performative purposes, I don't want to do it. So like I will sit and look at a subject, and I don't want to rant about a thing and not know what I'm talking about. So I will get into a mode where I get fired up about a thing, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to research every angle of this. I'm going to look and see what right-wing sources are talking about, what left-wing sources are talking about, what foreign sources are talking about it, and what everybody is saying, and see if I can figure out an angle to approach a thing from. And then other times, like I will just, like Nick Fuentes, for example, is one of my favorite punching bags.
Sure.
I have like a whole playlist called the Nick Fuentes playlist, and it's just video after video of me shit talking and dunking on him, because the Groypers somehow follow Sons of Liberty too. They'll get in my comment sections if I make videos about Nick Fuentes, and they will get mad. But there have been a couple people who have actually said, you know what? This makes a lot of sense. Why are we following a guy who's got a Mexican last name who's talking about white supremacy? And why are we following this guy who thinks it's okay to sexually assault women? Like, a lot of these are young men in the age range of like 18 to 26, 27. And some of them have good relationships with their mothers and sisters and grandmothers. And it's like, he's talking about every woman, not just some random woman who pisses him off. It could be your mom that he's talking about. God knows I talk about your mom all the time.
Oh, your mom, I was waiting for it.
So, and other times, like I'll just go through a period where I've got people in my comment sections that are saying stupid shit. So I'll take screenshots of things and just pile them up. And like one day it was Big Sarge reads mean tweets version edition or whatever, and I took comments and I just read the comments and just would whatever came up at the first 1 or 2 things that came to mind when I read somebody's comment. So it really depends. And some days I just talk about military stuff. Like I'll get in front of the camera and talk about, my favorite 2 or 3 military stories, which invariably involve either sex, food, or poop jokes, or a combination. There were a couple of videos where I'm literally like, I'm just showing people how to make a drink. I'm like, here's how you make fucking gin gimlet, or something like electric lemonade, or so, I don't know, whatever. So I would just make a drink and show people how to do it. And there's not really, I can't explain what goes through my mind when I decide I'm going to make a video. Like sometimes it's whatever is going on in politics at that moment. Like if there's a big thing to talk about, like we picked up over 15,000 followers in the span of 72 hours because I did a video that said angry veteran analyzes Charlie Kirk shooting or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I did a couple more Charlie Kirk videos, and then I was like, I don't want to talk about this guy anymore because he's fucking irrelevant. A, he's dead. B, he's a piece of shit. And C, literally nothing that I'm going to say about the guy is going to change anybody's mind. You either go into it knowing exactly what you're going to believe, or you go into it with the objective of not having your mind changed at all. So it's like, talking about this guy even further just we were growing our viewer base from it, but I just was like, I don't want to talk about him anymore because fuck that guy. And
There's more important things to talk about.
yeah. And also, like, we still, to this day, don't have any kind of clear understanding of what the murderer's motivation was.
Right.
Neither does the right wing. Like, they don't talk about it anymore. That disappeared as quickly as the guy who shot fucking Donald Trump allegedly and, clipped his ear.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
There's rumors
made the
that
ketchup packet explode.
That Robinson was a groiper, that he was there were some rumors along those lines that he might be upset with Charlie Kirk for, because didn't Fuentes and Kirk have a beef with one another?
They did, yeah. As recently as like less than a week prior to that, he was bragging about having infiltrated Charlie Kirk's movement, and that anytime Charlie Kirk showed up to a campus, there were going to be groypers there that would wait and then ask him gotcha questions and then just start trolling him. So, there was a lot of bad blood there. And the first couple of days after that, Nick Fuentes was like, "Oh, this wasn't us, and I decry violence." And now all of a sudden it's faded again. And
his following.
Ask yourself why. Like, why is nobody talking about this anymore? The only thing that we're talking about with Charlie Kirk is his wife and JD Vance. That's literally the only thing we talk about on either side. Definitely they are.
They're fucking, bro. Hey, so there's another reason that you, in your humility, are not saying why you haven't done as many of those type of videos. Because you're a fucking busy guy, bro. Like, your Discord, the Sons of Liberty Discord, that I'm crawling out of mud and putting my head above water to keep up with, is growing at an alarming rate. And that's where you try to organize politically, as well as help people who need a place to land, who don't know where to go. You're with the Removal Coalition, in a big part of that. You're at the protests. You're organizing these things, and you're also leading a team of people. So I want you to let people know those places, those things that you're doing. Especially, of course, we're always going to be talking about the 20th to 22nd in DC. But what is this? What's the Discord? What are these political actions? What are the movements that you're moving, that you want people to know about? Anything? Is it all secret now?
So the Sons of Liberty Discord is basically where the fam of Liberty is, what I call the people who are members of our community, because God knows I get so many comments on a weekly basis about like, oh, why is it just sons? Can also be daughters? It's like,
the fuck up.
It's like, are you serious? Yeah, you could be a daughter, you could be a son, you could be somebody's fucking cousin, me, you, your mom, and your cousin too. So I just started calling people the fam of Liberty, to be all inclusive. But anyway, our Discord server is where we do a lot of the basic organization. That's the entry level to Sons of Liberty. There will be, sections that are for off-topic stuff. There are helpful resources, mutual aid. There's a bartering channel for people that want to like give away stuff or get help for stuff and trade and whatnot. Then we have region sections, the entire United States plus people outside the United States. And it's broken down into like 6 or 7 geographic regions. So you've got, like Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, South, West Coast, North, things like that. So that's the actual organization part. There are region reps for every region. There are state reps for most of the states. I think we don't have a rep for that. We have adjutants who work on the vetting for Signal, because we don't do a lot of public organization on Discord, primarily for OPSEC purpose, operations security purposes. So we'll say, hey, we're going to be at this protest in public. Like those are public posts. And we'll even share like where the events are going to be. But we don't do a lot of public speaking about the nuts and bolts. Like where's everybody going to meet at? Where are we staying? Where are we going to eat dinner one evening or whatever. So we do that through Signal. So a lot of people will need to get vetted to get into Signal. And I don't want to discourage people from showing up to the events. You can still, like, if you just found out about Sons of Liberty, last night and you want to go to the protest, by all means, go to the protest. Come up and say, hey, take a selfie with me. I don't care. You can, whatever.
It was going left already. It was
yeah.
Since you brought up Signal, have you ever accidentally been added to Pete Hegseth's Signal group?
Oh, yeah.
I'm in like 80 different Signal channels right now, so it's entirely likely that Pete Hegseth has added me to his Secret War Plans Signal chat. So
it happens.
I know he's never watched my OPSEC video. That's for damn sure.
This motherfucker. I mean, you know what? Before Pete Hegseth, we did a whole rant on him, but I'd like to know you're a manly man, okay? You're a guy who does things with his hands. You help people, right? You go to the gym. You get got the big fucking beard, all that good stuff. I want to know, how does it feel as a manly man, a Democrat, getting butt fucked daily without any Vaseline at all by the Democratic Party yesterday? What does that feel like as a manly man? I can't, bro. I can't.
I 100% agree with you there, but on the other hand, I do want to point out that it was 8 people who broke ranks.
Yes.
They're paying for it. They are paying for it. They're being pilloried in the press. They're getting phone calls to their offices, and rightly so. You have Representative Ro Khanna, for example, saying that Schumer needs to step down. He needs to be fired from his job. People are calling for these guys to be primaried. I am not going to name any names, but I'm aware that somebody in Removal Coalition has spoken with Senator Tim Kaine's office. And that was a very bombastic call, and they are now regretting going with that course of action. So, yeah, it's when I heard the news last night that there was potentially going to be a defection, I immediately got on social media, immediately made a Discord broadcast that said, hey, call your representatives and put a stop to this. It did not work, but people still called and voiced their displeasure, and people still need to continue doing that. Just because it's done doesn't mean we're done. So, and we're already seeing, that Mike Johnson is immediately like, psych. So he's not holding up his end. And it's,
he said his exact words were, I didn't promise anything to anybody, unquote.
So, I understand what it's like to feel betrayed by the people that you're supposed to trust. I felt that in 2007, 2008, when I saw so many Tea Party Republicans basically voting against legislation that was designed to help veterans. It was one of the reasons why I had been a Republican up until about the time that George Bush was running for re-election. And I was like, I think I'm going to be independent now. And I was still more conservative than I am today at that point. But over the years between 2004, 2005 to about 2008, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. These people voted to send us to war, and I volunteered to go. Like, I volunteered for every deployment that I could, because in my mind, number one, I wanted that money. And I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about that.
Yep.
When you're not making a whole lot of money and somebody's like, yeah, this is all going to be tax free. Your reenlistment bonus of $30,000 is going to be tax free, and you're going to be getting extra money. You get, jump pay, hazard duty pay, foreign language pay, various proficiency pays, and stuff like that. You're going to be like, fucking an extra $1,500 a month. Hell yeah. And it's all tax free. Fuck yeah. Anyway, so I volunteered for that, but also because I didn't want some 18-year-old kid who had just joined the military to have to go and do a thing that I could have gone and done, and I was probably going to be safer and better at it than he was. So I volunteered for all these deployments, knowing that it was, potentially going to be risking my life. And I came home and had my battles. I had my demons, nightmares, and drinking and stuff like that. And for these people who also all voted for us to go to war, to turn around and say, yeah, we're going to vote no on this veteran legislation because reason. It's like, you know what? Fuck you. Don't ask me for shit ever again. And I started getting away from, like, it really pissed me off. And I started getting away from wanting to support these people. And then I just saw the pure amount of venom and hatred for Barack Obama, who I wasn't sold on. Like, I wanted to vote for John McCain because I remember John McCain from the 2000 election. He was John Wayne McCain. But then he ended up with Sarah Palin, and I was like, I'd fuck her, but then she opened her mouth, and I was like, oh, no, this woman is dumb as shit, and if McCain dies, we're going to have her? No. And that's when I was like, let me go listen to what this guy has to say, especially because people that I had voted for in the past were like, oh, he's a Muslim. He's not even from America. And I'm like, you're just making it sweeter for me because fuck you. So that whole betrayal in 2007, 2008 with all of these, I mean, some of these were like wild legislative bills. Like, there was something to fund equine therapy, like horseback riding, basically going out and going camping with other veterans, going hunting and fishing, riding horses, learning how to care for horses, whether it was grooming them, feeding them, or even learning how to be a farrier, how to change the horseshoes or put horseshoes on them. At the time, that was radical. Now it's like, okay, cool. That's pretty awesome. We have tons of programs that do that now for veterans, but almost 20 years ago, we didn't. And there were these bills that were coming out left and right. Everybody wanted to help veterans except Republicans. They're like, it feels the same as the arguments about, birth control and abortion. It's like, we want you to have this baby and we're going to make you have this baby. Once the baby's born, we don't give a fuck about the baby. Fuck that baby. Same thing with veterans. We want you to go serve your country. We want to send you to war. We want you to defend us. We want to honor you. But as soon as you're out, fuck you. Fuck your benefits. And God help you if you're a veteran who votes for fucking liberals, because they will call you traitor and spit in your face, and they'll thank you for your service and then call you a fucking libtard, commie, traitor or whatever. So,
or the N-word.
Or that, yeah.
Do you remember back then in the times of Barack Obama? Do you remember? I think that's when Trump really kind of became the darling of the right when he questioned the birth certificate.
Yeah,
and that was his end, I believe.
Yeah. So he started doing the birther bullshit, and when he did, he provoked a reaction from Barack Obama, who tore him a new ass in front of the entire world. Just joke after joke after joke, just dunking on him constantly, mic dropping, and you could see it in his face. And I swear to God, when the fucking 2016 election happened, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel who had the skit.
Yep.
And it was basically like a cartoon of Trump. It was like a South Park style cartoon, and he's like, I'm gonna get even, and they ran it when it was announced that he won, and I was like, that's perfect.
That's exactly what happened.
That's exactly right, and
Now they don't
I
even
will
have
do
that
that.
correspondence dinner anymore. Trump
Yeah,
has just done away with it. Like I can't afford
right.
to get left. Anyway, continue.
Oh, that was it. You know, that was Rook is exactly right. That's when he got it into his. I
And
mean,
do
he
you
had tried to run for office before, but everybody was like, "No, fuck this dude. This dude is dumb as shit." And then
yeah.
somehow,
Well, yeah, they made fun of him at the correspondence dinner as he was sitting there, and they said, you know, I thought he was going to run as a Republican, not a joke or something like
Oh,
that, or is that what they said? But I remember too when Osama bin Laden got killed. Then I remember I was watching TV and I was watching NBC, and I'll admit it, I was watching The Apprentice. I was just watching it back then. It was just on the TV. Wasn't whatever, but it got interrupted. I think it was the season finale. The Apprentice got interrupted by the breaking news. So I always wondered how Trump felt about that. After
Oh wow, you see that, and now knowing how thin-skinned he is, that question is not a joke. I bet you he probably didn't like that.
didn't like that, and he didn't like being made fun of at the dinner, whatever year that was, 2000. Oh gosh, I don't know, but yeah, it's crazy how we got here now, and now we got.
I want to ask you. I want to ask a question that I think you may not ever get, or a series of questions, a line of questioning that you never probably get. I hope you never get because of the work that you put in and how obvious where your loyalties lie as far as this country and these ideals in this Constitution. When you were a Republican, we had someone on here who I'm not allowed to say the name of, unfucking fortunately. Thanks, Rook. I'm putting you on the spot, brother. Don't worry about it. I got you. So this guy had an issue, and then he realized that he fucked up as a MAGA voter, and then as a byproduct of being a MAGA voter, something happened to someone in his life, and that same thing I said to him, you know, I believe you because black people have been dealing with that specific thing for a long time. It's the reason why 90% of us voted the proper way. You know, what is it about? Now that it's happened to you, sure, you're mad about that. But I'd like to know, for the sake of being able to help someone else, or for the sake of history, what was it that you didn't see? Why was it that things that were so clear to black folks who've been dealing with this type of a life under authoritarian rule forever, that we know we could see through that lie? We could see what it meant when you said this, or when he said that, or eating the cats and the dogs, or whatever the hell, when he had no answer but tariffs. What was it? What was the block? What is it that you saw and that he didn't want to answer? How was that different? I want to ask you the same type of question. When you were a Republican, I joined in 98. Okay, I joined in 97 and then boot camp. So I basically did all of my work early 98. Even in there, all the way through the 2000s, and even before then, my parents, we realized that the Republican Party fucking hates us, black people, and freedom. That they will say and do anything to start a war, to keep a war. That they don't want social programs. That they would love to call all black people moochers, and if they could get away with it, straight up the N-word. We knew this. We saw this. What was it about republicanism? What was it about the right that you, the person I know now, this is so educational for me, didn't see, or did see, or said, yeah, that this isn't a red line, or did you just not see it?
that's a really, really, really good question. and I've never been asked that question, and it's uh it's a tough question. Like, I don't have a good answer. Like, I mean, I have a good answer, but I don't have, like, this earth shattering, uh, like, moment of salvation. No, it's a fair question, and I think that a lot of people should have to answer that question. Maybe not publicly, but ask yourself why. And for me, the simplest answer is that I'm not black, and I'm aware of that. And I don't necessarily think that my ethnicity had anything to do with it. It was literally just, my dad has always been conservative. He's a Methodist minister. He's very patriotic, and he was raised in a conservative household, and um, that's how I was brought up. I grew up with a guy who would, when he would get mad, he would, say, "You communist piece of shit," or whatever. Like, he's working in the garage under the hood of his 72 Nova, or whatever, tightening some nuts and shit, and the thing slips off, and or the part is not fitting correctly. He's like, "You communist son of a bitch," that kind of a thing. Fixing the fucking refrigerator that was secondhand, 20 years old, because we couldn't afford to buy a brand new one. He's in there, tinkering with the Freon tube or whatever, and it's giving him some guff, and he's like, you damn commie," that kind of a thing. That's the kind of guy that I grew up around. Mm-hmm. And he was a man's man. He believed that men were a certain way, and he wasn't afraid to do, household chores, whatever. He believed in certain gender roles, but not all of them. And he was not afraid to show his emotion either. So it wasn't like he was, this caricature of a 1950s, uh, quiet veteran guy who raises his kids in suburbia kind of a thing. He was product of multiple different backgrounds, and was just, believer in that Republicans had our country's interest at heart. Democrats were secretly, toadying up to the communists to, whatever kind of silly fucking Cold War nonsense, fought communism in Vietnam or whatever. Those are things that he believed, and that's just the way that I was raised. But my dad is from South Carolina. So on the one hand, he's country, but on the other, he grew up in a family that was descended from, Southern royalty, for lack of a better term. His mom, my grandmother, was the epitome of a Southern belle. Very well educated, was a debutante, came from a wealthy family. My grandfather was conservative, and he was from Missouri, Kentucky area, and he was dirt poor and worked his way up from nothing, hopping trains at 16, joining the Army Air Corps, becoming a pilot, and flying bombers in World War II and stuff like that. And so he had he had this working class background and this appreciation for finer things like, poetry and classical music and whatnot. But also, one of the things that he had been around his entire life was people of color. And my grandmother, God rest her soul, was very religious, not like, brainwashed kind of Christian nationalist type, but was very, very faithful and very devout, and volunteered with, soup kitchens and all kinds of things. And she had employed a woman who was a housekeeper back in the 50s, who was from a poor family, and they invited this family to come spend Thanksgiving and Christmas with them. They would prepare this massive dinner, and this woman and her family of like, her husband and several kids and grandkids would come over, and they were basically part of the family. And so we grew up around that. So for me, I had a slightly different perspective on, I guess race relations at a younger age than other people did. But I never put two and two together with regards to how the rest of the world worked, because my world was a little different from everybody else's in terms of, and I went to schools with people, there were Asian kids and black kids and whatnot. And for me, it was just being a kid. So I never really put politics together with the way that other people were treated until much later in my life. So the thing that got me was probably, it was before Barack Obama ran for office, but after, I was like, I'm not fucking voting for Republicans ever again. I was actually riding shotgun in a buddy's car, and he's black, and he got pulled over. And I was like, I had never seen this type of interaction before. Like, I'd never experienced this interaction before, because white guy gets pulled over for speeding, and the only thing that's really going to happen is, as long as his car doesn't smell like weed and there's no visible beer cans, he's probably going to walk away. Maybe he gets a ticket, and that's it. And this was, I can't put my finger on anything specific that happened, because it was just the whole vibe. But there were things that occurred during that traffic stop, and I was like, was that dude just having a bad day? And the guy that was driving was like, no, it's because I'm black. And I chuckled a little bit, because at first I was like, it reminded me of that, oh, you're just saying that because I'm black, or is it because I'm black kind of trope or joke that people would make. But he's like, no, I'm serious. And I was like, well, fuck. He was like, it's always like that. He's like, when you're black, you get raised a certain way. And he proceeded to tell me about how, his parents raised him to be wary of police officers. And, you're not you, but from his perspective, he's saying that, as a black child, you're raised to learn how to survive encounters with police.
Yep.
Through compliance and obedience and not giving them an attitude or whatever, which you get away with when you're white. As long as you don't throw hands, you can call them motherfucker all you want. And they'll just be like, cool. Okay, here's your ticket. You can't do that the same way, when you don't have the same skin color. So that incident was actually where I started really thinking about things from a different perspective. And it sucks that it had to be that where I was actually present for it to have affected me. And it affected me because I liked this guy and he was cool. And we weren't even we were just cruising along. And I think he was going like, 6 or 7 miles over the speed limit. And it was toward the end of the month. So.
Right. Quota time.
And just, and the more that he talked about it, the angrier I got that this was actually a thing. So that was kind of the process that took me out of that mentality, that, this party doesn't just not have my interests at heart. It also doesn't have interests at heart for other people. And that was where I really started. Like, that was pretty much where I just started, within months of that. I, would be on social media talking about shit and just whatever, writing rants, putting things on blast and whatnot. And the more that I did that, the more that I encountered other people, and I was really starting to listen to their stories as well. And, whether it's people of color, with regards to, over policing or the criminal justice system or just, bigotry in general, or women, talking about their experiences with, being afraid in the back of their mind to go on a date with somebody, stuff like that. And I don't think that I think a lot of it started to stem from that incident, being a passenger in a black guy's car when he gets pulled over is for me. And that could have gone any number of ways. Now that I think about it, he could have just, been like, all right, cool. I'll slow down, have a nice day or whatever. But for whatever reason, that day he chose to be a dick to this dude for no reason. And was asking like, you guys have anything in your car that you shouldn't? Was, why?
The normal question for us.
We're doing six over. We're doing six over. The guy's got like this giant thing hanging from his rear view mirror to make this, the car smell good or whatever. And, neither of us are drinking or smoking or anything. And that was just an automatic presumption. And the guy asked to see my ID as well. And I was like, I'm not driving, so I'm not showing you my ID. And the guy driving the car was like, just give me your ID. Give me your ID. I was like,
you don't know. You don't understand, bro.
No. He's like, give me your motherfucking ID. And I'm like, oh,
do that shit with your white friend, bro.
yeah, exactly. And he's like, man, you're trying to get me shot. And I'm
right,
like,
bro.
what are you talking about? And he's like, let me tell you something. And it's wild because like I managed restaurants when I lived in Atlanta after I got out of the military. And I worked in the Midtown area within a couple of blocks of what's called Bankhead at Donald Hollowell Parkway or whatever is the dividing line. That's the other side of town. So all of my staff came from that area. So, I'm like the only white guy in the restaurant, and it's like this great learning experience for me. Like I learned so much about just black people in general and like the Atlanta rap scene. Like I never thought in a million years I would learn about stuff, but I'm like, there's these flavor of the month guys that are like, oh yeah, he's got this cool single, and then a month later people are like, nah, we don't talk about that guy anymore.
Yeah.
And then like 10 years later it's some of them are big names now, and like Outkast, for example, and so I feel like, why did I fucking miss out on all that? And now from my perspective as a guy who's pushing 50 and works in a political organization that fights for everybody, which was the thing that we said in the military, we're fighting for everybody. But now it's like so much more obvious. There are so many different things that I've learned from being making content for Sons of Liberty that I probably never would have otherwise learned. And it's for me, it's almost the equivalent of like going overseas. Whether it's, you're just going to visit, Germany, go sightseeing or backpacking through, fucking Switzerland or whatever. For me, that's the equivalent, because I'm here in this country, but I'm meeting all kinds of people and learning different cultural things and hearing these perspectives from people, like just moderating our social media content, the comment sections, and seeing people talking about their experiences that they're sharing with us, like when we post, like Admin V posts about her religious background or whatever. And then invariably there's tons of comments from people of, whether they're Southern white people who've left the Christian church or whatever, or they're, Black Christians, or, people who were raised in Jewish families. We have some people who are Muslim who comment a lot. So there's just so much of a learning experience for which I am supremely thankful. And I wouldn't have gotten this, if I'd stayed with the, I don't want to say indoctrination, but
they're in a bubble. They're in a bubble. They're not
yeah.
exposed to these perspectives, and it sounds like the exposure to multiple perspectives helps pull people out of that. Because if you're just in your bubble, like our friend we're not going to name, then it only affects you when it hits you because you're not
Right.
you haven't come out of your Newsmax, Fox News bubble, and so you're not exposed to these other perspectives, and so you remain trapped there until it fucks you in the ass,
Right.
I don't know. That's what I had to say, Doug.
No, you're 100% correct. And that answer and just that whole, I've never been able to have that conversation with you before. So it means a lot to me to hear. One thing other people may not know as we wrap this up is I've actually never met you in person. We've met online. We've coordinated online, but I've never been down to the marches, doing CRT stuff or whatever it is. So I cannot wait to shake your hand, Sarge, on the 20th.
I'm a hugger, so you can shake my hand at your risk, but I'm going to pull you in.
I can't wait. I cannot wait, man.
And I'll take pictures of the hug.
Yes, I'll hand the camera over to you. So I also got a table now, I found out, so I'm not sure how I'm going to do all three things, but I'm going to make sure I have to be a part of all three organizations at some point. So I'm working it out with Kaz to figure out what I need to do. But we probably need to talk to Sarge on how where you want me. This has been an eye-opening experience, and I love you, brother. Thank you for coming on. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. That was a really good question. Very thought-provoking. I appreciate that you asked me that. Even though I had to think of an answer, I'm like,
yeah, that's the point.
People can ask that questions of themselves and of their neighbors. I think it's an important question.
That's what it comes down to, right? The reason why that guy was hesitant to answer is because you don't want to know what that answer is. You're not trying to figure that out. And whether it's right or wrong or good or bad, whatever the answer is, it's a really good thing to know if you plan on changing yourself or other people in the future, right? I think I'll be asking that question more often. Appreciate you being here, brother. Rook, last words?
Oh gosh, looking forward to meeting you both in DC, and you can see what I look like when I'm not an avatar.
Oh, I thought that's just what you look like.
Full-time avatar.
It was like it was gonna be like Roger Rabbit. Like, you were gonna come in as a cartoon in the real world.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier. Life would be a lot easier. So
bring Jessica Rabbit.
Yes. Yes, that's what we need.
She's busy. Maybe I'll write her a letter. It's been a while since I saw.
And she never ages too. Like she's gonna look just like Jessica Rabbit. Anyway, so guys, can I do something? Can I get the privilege of doing what we do on the Sons of Liberty live podcast when we end it? For the first time, the viewer out there, right? You, the listener to this podcast, will not have everything break down and destroyed. That's kind of our thing that we do. Like, nobody ever really gets to say goodbye. It ends up crashing and breaking, and we come back. We're not going to do that this time. For the first time, guys, 2 claps and a Rick.
Do it.
Woo!
Music a bubble. Music a bubble.
Thursday is going to be an influencer meet and greet at some place in DC where basically people who contribute a certain amount of money can hang out with Jolly Good Ginger, Big Sarge, Jessica Dents and Cliff Cash. And then Friday night is the Comedy Church. There's a converted church that they're going to be using for the venue. John Pavlovitz is hosting. He's going to be the MC. No, I'm sorry. Larry Fulford is the host. John Pavlovitz is one of the comedians. Father Nathan Monk, Steve Hofstetter, Cliff Cash, Elizabeth Booker Houston. And then the evening of the 22nd is going to be Gwen Levy and the Breakdown, Freedom Futures Collective, Earth to Eve, and All Strike. And then obviously everybody knows Dropkick Murphys are playing on the afternoon. I don't know if they're opening or what, but that's going to be the thing at 12 p.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, the Dropkick Murphys are free, and these other events are ticketed events to help make back some of the money that it cost to put this on in the first place. So hopefully people can step up. But the Dropkick Murphys show is free. It's just these other events are ticketed.
That's exactly what I wanted to make sure. Like, we need to, and listen, it's a lot for some people. Like, I think it's like $1,000 to do all three events. I'm not sure what it is, but where can they go to do it? And this isn't just, hey, you're paying to see Big Sarge and Jolly Good Ginger. The point is, this is a better way than trying to get AT&T and Bell South to fund it, right, guys? Like, this is the point. They're doing these things to try to get their money back, so we can continue to push the remove the regime and the whole removal coalition that we got going on. So check it out. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
You can go to removetheregime.com and you can buy tickets to the comedy show or the concert, or I'm not sure, the meet and greet. I believe all the information's there at removetheregime.com.
I think I had two people email me and say, are we going to be able to meet you at the meet and greet, Joe Sargent? And so I just said yes, because I figured, of course, I got to be.
Basically, what they're saying is they want everybody's help plugging the music, comedy, and influencer fundraisers, because we have to pay for stages, screens, generators, speakers, porta potties, venues, security, etc. So that's one of the reasons why. And I guess people on social media are like really having an issue with this. They're like, oh, you guys are just, doing this to make money or whatever. And it's like, I mean, everybody is coming on their own dime. Dropkick Murphys, an internationally renowned punk band, are doing this for free because they believe in what they're preaching, and everybody else is showing up and putting in the work as well. So that's something that is, like, we're not out here selling fucking sneakers and hats and hundreds of $1,000s fucking watches and shit. We're literally just trying to put on a big ass event. So,
yeah, and they're optional events because it's free to go march on Congress. It's free to go to the Veterans March. It's free to go to Dropkick Murphys, but it's only free because other people are paying. So, yeah, it's not free to pull off events like this, but we're out to fight fascism, not to make money.
So, I want to make sure I say this correctly. What is the guy that they're saying? I can't believe right now is when I decide not to remember his name. God damn it! The dude who they're saying always is funding all of the
George Soros.
George Soros.
I'm going for my George Soros check, motherfuckers. And I hope it's a lot of money. Okay? Because guess who's getting fucking paid out here? You want to know who's getting paid? Charlie Kirk's wife is getting paid. Paid. You want to know who's getting fucking paid out here? The people who are promoting ivermectin are getting paid out the asshole.
The grift.
Grifting. Mm-hmm. You know who's fucking getting paid out here? Not us. Not us.
Yeah. So I gotta sell T-shirts to make it.
The truth is, what Big Sarge said is true, and what Rook said is true. That nobody's getting this money. Everybody's going on their own dime, and they're using it to get porta potties and shit like that. But motherfuckers are getting paid. Why would it bother you if we were? Fuck face, the fuck out of here. Everybody else can get paid but us.
I gotta take off.
All right, later, Big Sarge.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, you too, man.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Y'all too.